The creation story that exists in Genesis is not true, and I can demonstrate that. I can show how that story is made up as a vehicle to carry a template at a deeper level. I've been tactful about this, but I don't know what to do. Genesis is wrong. It contains something inside of there for the people who can figure it out. 3,500 years ago, somebody invented a story for us, and for 3,500 years, people have been carrying that for us. They don't know what's inside. Let's take a look. First, let me issue a thank you to whoever wrote that, whoever nested that lesson. Thank you. To all of the people who were the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims that continue to carry Genesis today so that we can find out what's in there, thank you as well. I wish you could see what's inside of there. Without describing metaphor to the masses who do not understand what it is, I'll just let everybody know who do understand that the Ark of the Covenant is the story itself. There is something nested inside of here that is being carried by the masses, and they don't see inside of it. Okay, let's try to understand what is inside of there. It's a template, and it's a template that appeared not only in Babylonia, but there's pieces of it that appeared in Gilgamesh before then. This template is older than Genesis. And to me, what is very key to understanding this is understanding that template. And I didn't realize that early on. I actually lost a friend that was commenting a lot here commonly that was at some point telling me, I don't see what you're doing with that template. I think it's bullshit. And I don't know, that just made me so mad. I don't know why. The template is it. The template is exactly what we are looking for. I will say that Joseph Campbell identified this template partially. The man of 1,000 faces, the monomyth. However, he didn't have it played out 100% in the psyche. Once you do that, you see what the monomyth is for. The monomyth is what all of mythology, all religions, spiritual teachings are all based on that one monomyth. Genesis, you're there too. You are not special. I should say, as far as the template, you're not special. You are special in the analogous carrying case. It is the package called Judaism that the masses carry. It is the template that frames Judaism that a few understand. How is it that we can live our lives and not see that? I was raised in a Christian home, and I can tell you one of the things that I remember, and I still see it today. You hear it among people, and you can Google it and find it, that there are people within those religions, like Christianity, for example, that will tell you, don't study other stuff. You don't read about Hinduism, you don't read about Buddhism, all that stuff is evil. It's, stay away from it. Christianity will tell you to do that. I don't think Hinduism does. Buddhism doesn't. Taoism doesn't. Judaism does. Who else does it? The Holy Quran. Muslims do it. Abrahamics do it. Abrahamic descended religions tell you, don't become aware of other things. It's evil. Then what do you do? You maintain ignorance at somebody's request. You accept that. You find people that tell you don't read anything else because it's evil. Get the hell away from them. Evil is ignorance. Evil is not knowing how to make a decision because you don't have enough data to make a decision. There is also, there's a measure of something that a human being can see. You might have a faith belief, but then if you look at science and you see how biology works and how science works and cells divide and DNA is happening and genetics are in play and modifications happen and people are born certain ways, they don't somehow understand that. And what they do, since it doesn't square with the timeline of what their belief is, how do they manage that? You are a liar. You are trying to hurt us, to trick us, to fool us. You're demonic. Boy, that's bullshit. So while the rest of us are trying to move ahead and figure out life and continue to advance knowledge and understanding, they are of a mind that, you know what, there is nothing to know. We're different humans. We can't let them be in charge. Well, they are. Okay, I'm done on that rant. No, I'm not. Fewer things piss me off today more than the arrogance of certain Christians who are total assholes and think that they are marching with God in their pocket. This hurts. Okay, let's figure out what's going on. What is this template That's the real issue here. What is this template that is built upon? Because when you learn the template, you can see where it exists. You can see that not only does it exist, pieces of it, fragmentary in Gilgamesh from the Sumerians, later on, fairly complete in the Enuma Elish tablets, clay tablets found from the Babylonians. It exists in Egyptian works. And where is everything emerging from? Okay, what is this template? This template is in all of those. Everybody is sharing this template. They're wise people that understand, that have a greater scope of things. They get the template. They also get that the humans, the masses, do not. They wrote about it then, and we still see it in place today. Something's different with our brains. Many are called, few are chosen, many stand outside the narrow gate, where the roads looking outward are many. The road inward is one. Many called, few chosen. All of those are there. This is really coming into play right now. A Christian would say, I'm one of the few chosen. I'm a Christian. No, you're not. When you see the template, you will see that you are the carrier of, that you are one of the many called. The chosen one turns the material inward. They know something different. They know another layer of information in the material that is not accessible to the masses. It's not accessible. It's mentally accessible to us. The template is two things. Number one, part of it is what Joseph Campbell identified, but I'm going to get to that. Before Joseph Campbell's template, there's a shorter template that exists in the beginning of myths, religions globally, and that is creation. Everybody has a creation myth, and then their versions of the monomyth begin growing off of that. That is what's happening in Genesis. There is a creation story, but the creation is the creation of the human, each individual. And then the story is about our life, the individual life of the human, nested in this humongous story that's going to keep people who are now suddenly with all kinds of time on their hands. What do you do with people with time on their hands? You better give them something. They can't manage it. Okay, I need to move on to what I've identified as the template, and I'm going to tell you that this is only so far, that there's more to it. It keeps unfolding, that I am no authority. I'm not coming to you and telling you what I learned in college. I am telling you what I am finding in the material and asking you to look at the material and see if you see it there as well. This is not something that comes from college or academia, although I imagine at one point in time they were teaching this. Ancient Greek schools, I'm sure, had this as a part of what they were doing. They're building stories at that time that contain this. Hell yeah, they're teaching this. We lost it. We lost it. The template is this. When you're born, at first you are devoid of anything. We're just an empty kind of a baby, but that's not true. There are some things that are in place. There's some genetic things in there. There is brain types, personality types. There is the things that are going to be, like our sex drive and fears and things like that are wired into us from just for being creatures, for being animals. All those parts are going to be in place. That there's other variations, sexual orientation, things like that. We are born with those things. Okay, and then moving on from that point, we're starting out, think of your own life. There's a point in time where we exist, we don't even remember it. We don't have we didn't have the consciousness and the awareness of physical life established at that time. When the humans are born, our brains are not developed enough. We can't get up and run away within 20 minutes like most animals can. We're very dependent upon something else. And because of that, there's other things that begin coming into play. The material then teaches us that as we grow and as we develop, that we begin having experiences. And that as we have those experiences, we're naming those experiences, we're calling them, and we're becoming that right there. It's also telling us a couple of things, like there are cycles that are going to be happening, that things emerge over and over again. And that is what emerges from the cosmos. The cosmos is a cyclical. Everything moves in cycles. Everything moves in cycles, no matter what. It doesn't matter what religion we want to put on top of that life. No matter, you can take all of the planet Earth away. Everything moves in cycles. Put planet Earth, put 100 planet Earths out there. Put Earth out there 1 million years from now. Everything moves in cycles. That is a constant. We need to know that because our life moves in cycles, our experiences happen in cycles, and what we have named moves in cycles. It's going to reemerge. These are important for us to note for self-healing. We're also taught that plants grow from the earth, from the garden, from whatever. There's this idea that something is emerging, but listen how it happens. They describe it as the seed grows the plant, which provides the fruit, which provides the seed, which provides the plant. This is cycle. This is things that emerge from within itself. If you have a derogatory experience and you don't resolve it, it's going to continue to emerge in life, period. If you have a positive experience and it was something that was very impacting and you've got that put away and you haven't dealt with that, that's going to continue to emerge in life. Some stuff you like, some stuff you don't. We need to know that. We have fruits, we have weeds that grow from our garden. It's telling us that we are that life works that way, and that we have become a product of our experiences, and that could be variable. You might come from a place where everything is okay and you live a wonderful life. You might have come from a place, as did I, beaten, abused, burned with cigarettes, brother committed suicide, run away from home, live on the streets, get molested. There's a lot of crap that can happen to us early in life that's going to set us on a bad course. We showed up, we got wired that way. Is it our fault? When we act out in the world with the pain and the shame and the hurt that we've been given, we will be held accountable for that. But we got wired that way. We need to figure that out, because the world is going to do what? Throw our ass in jail and ignore us. We need to figure it out. Try to untwist that from the anti-abortion people. Now, I'm not a fan of abortion. I think we need different kind of controls in place. But I'm against the idea that we should just populate and force people who are pregnant, who are like, oh my God, I'm not even, I can't have a kid, being forced to be born by the very same people that say, now get a job. Now get off social programs. Now go to jail. Now go do these. People don't think past their own initial little shame or pain. They don't figure it out. They don't connect dots. They don't think beyond. I'm going off on a tangent. Okay, so where are we? In Genesis again, okay, we were born. We come with a certain set of qualities. We then have life experience, which dictates the way our life is going to be. But at first, in the beginning, we are male and female. Once we become self-aware, we now are Adam and Eve. At first, we were not. Later on, we become two parts, consciousness and subconscious. Now we are aware of things. We know we like ice cream. We know we want it. We know grandma's coming over. We are playing, having fun. We remember our friends. We know what to do. We're having a joyous time in life at this point. We are naked and in the garden. Metaphor. Naked in the garden. Literalists have this image of Adam and Eve, human beings, naked, walking around buck naked in the Garden of Eden. That's the reality. God made things that way. You're going to run around naked. I love thinking through the implications. What if Eve never sinned? Well, would there be 8.5 billion people naked in the Garden of Eden today? Okay, how shallow. Every human has a consciousness. That's the Adam. Every human has a subconscious. That's the Eve. These are analogous terms. If you can't disconnect from those, you're not going to make it. Everybody has a conscious. Everybody has a subconscious. Everybody has an Adam. Everybody has an Eve. And before we have bad life experiences, we are naked in the garden. We have not covered up our soul with anything, shame, pain, hurt. Once we interact with the serpent represents being tied to the ground, no legs, no wings, no nothing. The serpent is always going to be of the earth, of the physical, representing that. Eve interacts with that. The subconscious interacts with that. Adam and Eve ourselves have interacted with life and have now, we're not the happy kid anymore. We're now starting to experience things. I got hurt. I got beat. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like that. Oh, those people this, those people that. Now I'm picked on. My group. As we go in life, this continues to compound. We have sinned, and we're no longer that happy kid. We've been kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Metaphor, this is our life. We now go on what? We have offspring, a good one and a bad one. One kills the other. This is representing our happy At first in life, we have the capacity to go two directions. And what do we do initially? We kind of probably go the bad way. Not everybody does. Some people go a good direction. They never have to deal with this material. If you do, this is for us. And if you don't need this, but you need something, the outer shell is for you. However, I will say that the way humanity works is that they generally take information and adjust it to make them happy. So this is exactly what Christianity has morphed into, with that whole idea that you just have to believe that now suddenly everybody thinks they're the best human on the planet when their qualities are some of they can be very poor quality people. While they think that they're on top of the world, they develop 33,000 different denominations in one religion. Why? What is the religion teaching them? If you're them, you think it teaches you your life. If you stand on the outside, you go, son of a bitch, they're just making it what they want. As long as you love people, God's on your side. As long as you hate people, God's on your side. As long as you're open to people, God's on your side. As long as you judge people, God's on your side. That's not a religion I would ever even look at, consider. There's no consistency. There's something else in play. Okay. I'm going to struggle with this going back and forth because I'm still trying to leave Christianity from my roots. But at the same time, I realize how horrific Christianity has become to humanity. It's not the only one, but it's the one that I was raised with and I've got direct exposure to and I live amongst. That picture I show of that sign, in the beginning, God created, Genesis, all that kind of stuff. That comes from my local rural area out here. Yeah, that kind of ignorance is prevalent. But I cannot emphasize enough, at the end of the day, I still have a hard time unwrapping myself emotionally from my own childhood, my own past. When my brother committed suicide, him and I were close. We escaped together all the time. And one day I found he had hung himself in the woods because he learned about heaven that day and thought, yeah, that would be better than the abuse. Every day you go play. We'll see our cat Blackie. Got killed in the car one day when it was cold and Dad started it up in the morning and all that stuff. I remember him talking about that you never go hungry. You can eat good stuff all the time. That's what he heard in Sunday school, and that day he took his life to go. Christianity pisses me off sometimes. I look back on Larry's life and that whole thing at this point in time, and, it was such a tragedy, but I realize now it was an incredible motor. It was like a rocket engine when I was a little kid that was going to get lit later on in life. It was a part of something that ended up being very important. I feel like Larry is a part of this understanding. I really do, because it's the influence that those experiences had. So I'm going to be this kid that lives life and that I am kicked out of the Garden of Eden. I am Adam and Eve now at some point in time, and I have my good self that was there as a kid has been wiped out. My other self has taken over. And I'm going to go and I'm going to have offspring. I'm going to continue to have life. I'm going to go forth and prosper. One thing's going to lead to another, to another, to another, until I go from this childhood, hi, Grandma, to this, oh, damn it. Don't worry, I'll fix the drywall. I'll replace the windshield. I'm sorry I did that. There's a point where you're living life going, what is the matter? What is the matter? I'm Adam and Eve, kicked out of the Garden of Eden and procreating, and then I have a world that is raucous. It's out of control. My entire world is out of control. There's another part of the Genesis teaching that it's part of, there's like two variants of the creation story. They're similar, but they're different. They contain some different components. I can see they both do different things. The one about the rivers, though, it's establishing 5 components in 4 in a psychological nature and 1 in a cosmic nature. What it's talking to us about is our higher being, our conscious being, our subconscious, the offspring that we have. And I got to be careful. I jumble terms myself. The offspring, the things that we have decided upon, the things that we have classified and named and put away and that reside within us, that when we're not paying attention can act out on their own and do something that is not of our conscious choosing. And, this is very diverse. What I want to say is that this is even even if you have been hurt and nothing was your fault, but something is causing your life to continue to hurt because of that incident, this is what we're looking for. These are the things that are affecting us in a derogatory way. These are the weeds in our garden. These are the emergent trees continuing to produce fruit that is of the nature of what they are right there. And the stories interact with that right there. And the quality of the interaction of that determines the flow of life, the flow in the field, the Tao, the kingdom of heaven, how we exist in life, the quality of our life. Our Greek would say eudaimonia, the quality, the overall day-to-day quality of your life. Not if you're happy all the time, because that's kind of impossible. There's things that happen that's going to make you unhappy. But are you always really depressed in between being happy and sad, or are you generally life is good and everything feels good, and once in a while, I don't feel too good? There's a difference. We're looking to elevate ourselves, and we're down low. And that those 5 mental things in there are going to be how the stories work that we interact with. And all I could say here is that the reason I know this, or the reason I say this theoretically, is simply because of years and years of being driven by the ghost of Larry and things that you play these out in your head. You keep working at them and thinking there's something in there. I see patterns. I see something. And I was like really obsessed with it at some point. Anyway, those 5, the first place I see that appear is in Babylonian creation myth, the Enuma Elish, where when Marduk is being created, Marduk is going to be, in this case, the hero of the journey. That's the person who you are going to be when you've decided that's it. I'm changing my life. I'm going back and getting rid of all that stuff that I've picked up along the way. I'm going to deal with it. That is who you become. And one of the things that happens is Marduk has 5 beams in his head, is given 5 beams in his head. So that's the first appearance of that. And then that doesn't show up in Genesis, but what it does show is that Eden, which is a state of being, mental being, has 1 river flowing from it, and then 4 rivers flow off from there. So there's 5 river components being shown there. We're looking at conceptual ideas, though, and not the story itself. They're going to play out mentally, and they're going to be doing the same thing, but in ways that are just carried in a different way. It's incredibly clever. If you see 1, you can't see the template. If you see 2, 3, 4, you might have to see a lot before you can see it. Okay, so we got that. The mind has those 4 parts: higher self, the one that can look at things emotionally detached from it; the conscious self, the one that is the emotional wreck, that makes all the decisions and needs to continue doing all the work; the subconscious, which is just there. It's like, you programmed me. I'm broke. You got to fix me. I'm your female side. I'm acting out. But it's not my fault. It's the crap you gave me. And then it's the crap that you're given that is the offspring. These are the experiences, the things put away. I'm not going to deal with that. I'm ashamed of that I hate that. All of that stuff is the stuff that is acting out. And then it creates that flow of life. So what do we see here? We see a flow, the river from Eden, the river, that's the river of life. And then 4 rivers flowing out from the creation itself, which is the mind of the man. I have bad habits. The mind of the human. Each human's mind. And Eve is each human's inner being, the part that's living, the part that's dictating the quality of your life when you are consciously not in charge of it. And sometimes that's because you're just not, everything is okay. You're just functioning throughout the day. Like if you're driving and not paying attention, in the background, something is taking over, it's taking charge. And that's okay. You're driving successfully without having to think, I have to shift, I must push the accept. That stuff becomes automatic at some point. That's the background functioning away after training. And that is how our entire life works, whether we like it or not, whether it's driving or hurting. So that sounds odd to get that out of the material, but if you think about it, it works for their time, it works for our time, it works for any time. The technology and all of that doesn't change. It is the way that the human brain works. It is the way that our mind works and how we hold things that is dictating the difference. It doesn't matter what we do and how we advance or anything like that. It's always going to work this way. We're going to feel emotionally. We're going to be connected with each other through our brains and central nervous systems and a larger field. And here we are at this point in the story where we now have this, we're at this point where the world is so full. This is our world. It is so full and so raucous. It doesn't pay attention anymore. It's not following the rules. It's not doing what we want. It's not following God's rules. It's not following peace, happiness. God's an analog. the higher being, the disconnected, the let's all be good. We're all one. People can't see that. I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough with this to be able to convey it without continually blending back and forth like that, from going textual to the material to experiential life, textual material. They actually interweave, and I don't think I can separate them. Honestly, I think when you're telling somebody something, you say, "Here is how, here's why, this is what happened to me, and this is what I did, and here's what happened as a result. This is successful." You're showing people along the way how it works, and letting them know what your experience is, so that they have the opportunity to decide for themselves whether or not they want to look at the material and take that path with it. Now, for the person in modernity, the path can just be established as a, here it is, here's the steps, here's how you came about, here's what you must do to interact with your memories. That's all you need to know. That is what the template contains. Back then, though, they're passing this around word of mouth. People cannot read and write. If you want to pass this around, it has to be in something that is going to travel through their medium, and the medium is verbal. And it's going to be somebody telling a story that they have interest in. But it's more than that. Myth is that way. It's very adventurous. It's fun to tell. You're living in Greek society. There's quite a structure. There's rules and laws and things in place that they're, fairly well established. They're building big pillars and things like that. You get into the desert region, and I almost see reason to consider that there is less advancement in civilization at that point in time because of the rules that they're making about stoning your wife on her father's doorstep if you find that she's not a virgin. This is an analog to carry something, but the only reason they're using that analog is because they're doing it. So Genesis exists for a couple of reasons, not just to carry this template, but in this case, it's not entertainment like a myth. In this case, let's write it in such a way that plays with the human psyche, the fears, the desires to live forever, all the different things. Give them something to hang on to that makes them feel good about themselves and not killing each other and doing things. And if they kill each other a little bit, that's all right. If the woman's not a virgin, she deserves to be stoned or whatever is going on in their society 3,500 years ago. I would not want to live there. I don't mind hanging out with the people that know the template, but not the people that don't. And you know what? Actually, I think about that for just more than a couple of seconds, and I realize that whoever is using this template to pass, whoever is creating the story on this template, that knows the template, that's grasping the analogs to use, they used those. So whoever knew this template purposefully used analogs that must have been already, that's what their culture was doing. Yeah. They're just dovetailing in the teaching with what is happening in their society. Honestly, I don't think much of that's changed. Just different styles, different ways. The hate and the judgment's still there. You see it? It's no longer your non-virgin wife. Now it's the gay kid next door. All right, well, okay. See, I got to get away from that. I got to figure out how to do this. There's something there that we need to go after, and I need to focus on that without the anti-religion part. But the religious people are the ones that hit me. They're the ones that, they're the ones you have to separate yourself from. We're also doing something different. I imagine back then, people that know this are looking around in society, and they're making observations, and they know the kind of people that there are. They can see who is like, waving flags and rah-rah, or who is sitting back contemplating, developing, and making things. And they're picking people out and teaching them this. This is getting out into the population. It's being selected. We don't live like that anymore. We can now put it into public, I believe. I've debated this. It's like, I don't know if how do you reach people? You just put out what you find and hope that they find it too. Genesis is as viable, realistically, as Jason and the Argonauts. They both contain the same template. The Christians later on that say, Oh, buddy, you're doing that New Age stuff. Christianity is one of the most recent carriers of that template. New Age? All right, well, the next video I'm going to be getting into just interpreting Genesis, going right into the verses and how I work it, how I tie myself to the template, where I locate myself in there, and how it then unfolds. And I've got a better handle on it, I think, than in the beginning. I've got 2 videos and a couple of supplements that I'll post links to below of my preliminary Genesis work here. But I want to go after it again. I'm not happy with what I came up with the first time, so I'm still working with it and trying to understand it better. Hope this was interesting and not too offensive. I don't want to offend people, but there's a point where you got to tell people that are offensive, back off. Back off. And you want them to just love one another. See you in the next video.